Hold, 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 hold.
M1283.
I have to get a 280. Hold up.
Push past the smoke. Push past the smoke. Push past him. We're gonna hit him in the ass. Go all the way past him. I'm turning my gun all the way right. We're gonna hit him in the ass. Go fast, 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 fast.
I'm trying as fast as it goes.
50 seconds out.
Hold. Go more, go more, go more. And then curve right. Front curve right. Curve right, curve right, curve right. God damn it, dude. That fucking thing is fucking tanky as shit. Check out my website at karmakut.com to see system specs, donation links, and latest uploads all in one place. You can also get cool rewards like Karmakut patches and key tags on my Patreon. And don't forget to hit that subscribe and bell button for future uploads. Hello everyone, today's video is going to be my post-scriptum first impressions of the alpha test weekend. It's going to be in the same format as the Hell Let Loose video that I did, and we're just going to be talking about the good things about post-scriptum, the bad things about post-scriptum, what I hope to see in the future, and what I essentially took away from this weekend. So once again, we're going to start with graphics. So as far as graphics are concerned, Post-Scriptum is the most beautiful game I've played in a long time. Hands down, one of the most beautiful. It is just the most immersive environment. It's got such dense vegetation. It's got so much attention to detail when you're walking around. The trenches, the tank shells, the wagons that are just out. There's so much stuff on the map that it feels like a fully fleshed out environment. It's not, because Squad still feels a little empty to me. There's like not enough cover, there's not enough rocks, there's not enough ditches, but Post-Scriptum, it feels like it's literally a livable place. There are towns and there are little fences and there are wagons that are rolled out, and it's just, there's gliders that are just sitting in the fields. It's got all these tiny things that not only add to your immersion but also add to cover. So firefights, aren't just open fields. You have cover while moving around. So as far as graphics are concerned, it's beautiful. It is one of the best looking games I've played in a while. Sounds. Same thing with the sounds. Now, I'm going to admit, I'm not, a World War II nut. I don't really know all the sounds and how they're supposed to sound and all the tanks and all the tank names. I'm learning. I'm trying. You guys got to bear with me. I am learning slowly. But as far as sounds are concerned, very immersive as well. It doesn't sound like they've, half-assed the sounds or they're using placeholders. These sounds are really good, especially when you get shot at by a tank and you hear that shell whiz over your head. That will make you wet yourself. That is like the most amazing sound I've ever experienced in a video game. It was one of the first things I experienced when I played Post-Scriptum, a couple months back, is that tank shell when it fires near you and that whiz when it goes by. It's just the most awe-inspiring sound in the world. The Stuka sound amazing, strafing runs are awesome, and everything else is just, spot on. I can't tell if it's, historically accurate for sounds or anything, but for me, as a normal player, it sounds immersive. So that's what I've got for graphics. Going back to note on all the good things about graphics, there are a couple things that, do affect performance because of such a dense and such a lush environment with all the hedgerows, all the trees and all the grass, all these little assets and buildings. Your FPS does take a hit. It's worse than Squad right now as far as performance, and as we all know, Squad is not well performed. So if you're running a low tier rig, you are going to have a hard time running Post-Scriptum on max settings. I'll say that right now. Post-Scriptum runs hard on systems. Whether or not they improve this with optimization in the future, I think they have said that they are trying to, but we're going to see how many more frames they can pump out. But yeah, right now, performance takes a huge hit with Post-Scriptum. In Squad, just as a baseline, with my 1080 and 7700K, in Squad, I run above 60 all the time, but in Post-Scriptum, I was running anywhere from 35 to 55. So there's a big gap there, at least 20 frames that have dropped from Squad to Post-Scriptum. Alright, so going back to gameplay, or going to gameplay, I should say, and how, my first impressions were with that. So, it is made on the same off-world core as Squad. It is made on the same core framework. You're going to notice that a lot. A lot of the stuff's going to look the same as far as, the UI, the animations. I don't know if they're planning on changing the animations, but everything kind of has a Squad feel to it. And that is because they are using the same core. So, off-world, Industries created the Off-World core, which is used for Squad, and Periscope Games is now using that Off-World core for Post Scriptum. So that's why you see a lot of similarities between the two, as far as, you know, how you select weapons and how you get into vehicles and all these, the fob mechanics and everything like that, and the map, why they all kind of look similar is because they are using the same Off-World core. And we'll get into the whole, you know, it was a mod, it was a game kind of thing at the end of the video, so don't worry, we'll touch on that as well. But it does play similar to Squad. The infantry combat plays extremely similar to Squad. There's just not, I don't think there's much they can do about this. They've tried to do a couple things that I have noticed. Number one is the weapon differences. You were using World War II weapons instead of conventional fully automatic weapons, which does change the pacing of gameplay a bit, actually. But it still feels very much like a Squad World War II. So the pacing has changed with the weapon choices. Another thing that affects gameplay is suppression. Post Scriptum actually has implemented a slightly more advanced suppression system. When you get hit, I believe there is a slight aim punch, and when bullets are being shot at you, there is a greater effect of suppression. I believe it actually does move your reticle around as well, which I enjoyed because suppression, especially in Hell Let Loose, that was very prevalent, and it showed how deeply it impacted gameplay. So we'll see how much they decide to tweak their suppression. But yeah, another thing that Post Scriptum has that is different from Squad, at least for right now, is commander role. The commander role was fun. I do hope they add a little more engaging aspects to it than just, you know, vehicle or airstrike call-ins. Something maybe like Rising Storm 2 where you can like affect spawn times or something like that. Just something a little bit more interactive, because as command, like, it's very easy to just be waiting for timers. I'd like to see a little more stuff given to command so that they can do other things. The ability to, you know, command the whole team is cool and all, but I think there's something a little bit more that they could do to make it a more interactive role, because as much fun as it was, it's kind of boring when there's nothing to do. One thing that I'd like to see is, you know, maybe putting the radios that the commander has to use not only on his command jeep and at main or at the fobs, but also, you know, maybe with tanks, or maybe have a radio man role with the squads. That way the commander can kind of get closer to the action and see stuff without, you know, lugging his huge command truck, and he can just, you know, stack up with an infantryman with a radio, or go ride with a tank and observe with the tank. I don't know, something to make the role a little bit more exciting, because when I played it, it was fun calling in the Stukas and the BF-109s, but it was just, it got stale at certain times. So it's a cool addition. They're going in the right direction with the addition of it. They just need to build on it. The next thing that kind of changes from Squad is the tank gameplay. Oh my god, the tanks in Post Scriptum. I had the most fun in Post Scriptum with the armored, and you're gonna see a lot of armored vehicles gameplay going up on this channel, because it's the most fun running with a multi-crew tank, you know, rotating turret, talking with the driver, talking with your coax gunner and the commander. It's just so much fun putting 4 people in a tank and going up against other tanks, and like kind of having to learn the armor pen of the tanks and everything like that. It's just such an in-depth level to Post Scriptum. There's a lot of focus on the armored gameplay in Post Scriptum, and I think that's like absolutely amazing. The reason why I don't play War Thunder or like World of Tanks is because it's single player. You are the only one manning your tank, but when you have to communicate and work with your team inside the tank, it just adds a whole nother level of immersion and excitement that just reaches a whole nother level. So the tank gameplay was the most fun I'd ever had in a while. So going back to the similarities between Squad, so for those of you that don't know, Squad is a hardcore conventional warfare, tactical FPS. One-shot kills are not really a thing there. It's about 2 to 3, and the same thing goes for Post Scriptum, unless you're using a bolt action, that can usually be a one-hit kill, but the Stens and the MP40s, and I think the STGs are all multi-shot kills. So it's still, you know, a little bit more hardcore than Squad, but it still feels and plays very much like Squad. One gripe that I do have about the infantry combat in Post Scriptum is the hedgerows. As beautiful and as immersive as they are, and as much cover that they give, it's a little obnoxious to allow people to run through the hedgerows, I think. Hell Let Loose prevents people from running through the hedgerows, but Post Scriptums allow people to cross through the hedgerows wherever they want. And I think the issue with this is people just sit in the bush And I was running into this the entire weekend, where people would just be sitting in a bush, and you know, you're just walking by them, and they'll just sit in the bush and kill you. And it's very infuriating to be killed by something you don't know what killed you. Like, I think that's the #1 leading cause of rage in video games, is not knowing why you died or where you died from. And I think the bush boy epidemic of Post Scriptum needs to be addressed, because it doesn't do anything for gameplay except cause frustration, and it's not really immersive to be running back and forth through a hedgerow trying to find the one guy that's sitting in it. So some way to address that, maybe make some of the hedgerows walk throughable and some of them not, but to allow every single bush to be campable is just, it's terrible for gameplay, for infantry gameplay. That's part of the reason why I didn't play much infantry on the weekend. It's just because I was just constantly finding myself running back and forth through hedgerows, just looking at my feet, trying to find the one guy, the one German or the one Brit that's just sitting in the bush shooting people. So that needs to get addressed before I jump more into infantry. But yeah, the bush boys are just really annoying. But the armor, though, like, once you get into a tank and I see you're sitting in a bush, dude, I'm just gonna squirt that whole entire bush with the coax or throw HE into the bush. But as far as infantry v infantry combat in the hedgerows, it's just a big game of hide and seek right now. Okay, so we talked about gameplay. One thing I also want to talk about in gameplay is the game modes, the spawn system. So the game mode that we got to play for this weekend was pretty much like Invasion for Squad. If you don't know what that is, it's essentially one team attacks and one team defends, and there's like 5 or 6 points proceed along that linear path of points. So it's okay. I would have wished to see the territory control game mode in place. I still think that Hell Let Loose, the game mode for Hell Let Loose, the territory control there, is the most fun out of, you know, Squad Dave and for me, and Post Scriptum. I think that their game mode, Hell Let Loose's territory control, is the best right now, just because it encourages combat all over the map, and it also allows you to have control over where you want to go. Whereas this kind of linear gameplay that Post Scriptum has, at least for this one game mode that we got to play, is extremely linear, and it's just it doesn't add to dynamic gameplay. It's roughly the same thing every time you play the map, because it's the same points every map. It's the same direction every map, and it's you attack from the same area. Whereas in Hell Let Loose, you can go wherever you want to go, when you want to go, and you'll be impacting the team. So I'd like to see something like that, more of a front line, because there didn't really feel like there was a front line in Post Scriptum. There's just a whole bunch of units meshed together, and then the enemy attacking from whatever direction. There wasn't like a clear defined front line like there is in Hell Let Loose, where you know where the front is and where you're going to get contact. And I like that part about Hell Let Loose, because it felt very World War II. Whereas, like I said, Post Scriptum right now, kind of, as far as infantry goes, feels like a whole game of hide and go seek, which is not fun. It's like whack-a-mole. So we'll see when they add territory control. Post Scriptum adds their version of territory control, or their other game modes. But right now, as far as that one game mode is concerned, it was alright. It was okay. So the spawn points are different from Squad. You don't have rallies. You have mobile spawn points, which are these trucks that are essentially rallies. Sorry about that, I hit the mic. But you have these trucks that are essentially rallies, and they the whole team can spawn of them, and you can spawn on fobs or the defensive point. And I really like this, because it kind of prevents that trickle-down effect that you have in Squad when people just drop on the rally every now and then. The MSPs give you your whole team kind of a base to push off of, and it does give the team a little bit more unity in that sense. It's not just a whole bunch of tiny dudes just attacking from whatever direction whenever. The MSP is like a team-wide asset. So I did enjoy that. I still would like to see a wave respawn system like Post Scriptum, not Post Scriptum, but Hell Let Loose. Hell Let Loose's respawn system is really good at keeping the squad together, because everyone spawns at the same time, and you're able to move out with a group of guys instead of just trickling in one at a time. So there are a couple of things that I think Post Scriptum can take from Hell Let Loose, and Hell Let Loose can take from Post Scriptum to both become better games, because they both do certain things very well, and they're both at very different points of development too. Just remember that as I talk about Hell Let Loose and Post Scriptum. But yeah, that's pretty much gameplay. My thoughts on the gameplay, everything that was similar to Squad and everything that was different to Squad, and what Post Scriptum is bringing to the table as far as new mechanics. And I gotta say, that's the armor, right? The armor, just the new deflection, angling, different thickness in the armors, different vehicle types, because World War II you have a ton of tanks, right? So knowing the other vehicles is just a whole another thing. And then rotating the turret, they made it very slow, which it should be, and they made it lock to WASD instead of your mouse, which is interesting. It's a very interesting choice, but it does make the tanks feel a lot more skill-based. Before, using a mouse is too easy, especially in squad when you're in the striker or BTR. Whipping the mouse around is just way too easy to get kills. But in Post Scriptum, using the WASD keys, it feels like how moving a tank turret should feel. Not like as responsive as a mouse. You're kind of like pushing the turret like very awkwardly with the WASD, but it feels correct. It's awkward, but it fits. I don't know if that makes sense to you guys, but when you guys try it out, it'll make more sense. But it feels like you're actually moving a clunky turret, and you should be, because that is what it is. So I think it's a good, interesting control scheme, and it works. But yeah, the whole tank v tank combat, that's my favorite thing. Just throwing AP at each other, trying to outflank tanks, trying to get in a better position, knowing if you can or cannot go up against a certain armor type. That was awesome. I can't wait for tanks in squad, because goddamn, tanks in Post Scriptum were the most fun thing I've ever experienced. Like out of the entire weekend, like if I could do anything, it'd just be sitting in a Firefly with 3 guys or a Cromwell with 4 guys and just rolling around the map, supporting the infantry and just doing awesome things. Because that was just so much fun. But yeah, so that wraps up graphics and gameplay. We're going to move on to bugs. So this is where we note that Post Scriptum and Squad are very alike. This is where it really shines, is because Post Scriptum has a lot of the same issues that Squad does, as far as server performance, as far as the same bugs, ragdoll bugs, or whatever bugs you may have. A lot of them are similar. Like any issue that Squad has, Post Scriptum most likely also has too. And that was very prevalent throughout the playtest. You could see like the vehicle stuttering that we have in Squad. It was prevalent in Post Scriptum. Or the ragdoll, like I said before, you could see that happen as well. It's just, it's very noticeable that they're using the same core. As far as like issues with that, like performance issues and bugs like that, like hopefully those just get worked out. Like there's nothing really gameplay breaking that they had in the test. It ran pretty much playable and it was okay, but it's just very noticeable that they're both using the same off-world core. So my thoughts on that, right? The whole like, oh, Post Scriptum said they're gonna be mod, now they're paid. I'm fine with it because it's the same kind of model that Insurgency and Day of Infamy had, right? Insurgency was a standalone game. Day of Infamy was this mod that came up on Insurgency, and now Day of Infamy is its own World War II game. So it's very similar to how New World did it. So I'm okay with it. It's just just be aware that that is what it is, and that it is pretty similar to Squad. It's still its own game in its own right, but it is still very much similar to Squad in a lot of regards. But yeah, that is pretty much the whole review of what I thought about Post Scriptum this past weekend, my first impressions, and going as far as gameplay, graphics, and the bugs and similarities, what I thought. I'll have another video coming out where I talk about Squad versus PR versus Hell Let Loose, and what I think of all 3 of these. They're all at different stages of development. They all got different things in mind, and what I think of each game in relation or in comparison to each other. So that'll be a fun video. That's going to be a little bit more research I got to do, a little bit more preparation. But I hope you guys enjoyed my first impressions and what I thought. There's going to be a lot of Post Scriptum gameplay going up. I streamed for like 8 hours, 3 days in a row this weekend, so I'll have a lot of those matches going up because you guys have already seen a couple of them. But yeah, a lot of Post Scriptum content to come in the lull. Still doing Squad, and then yeah, we'll see when Hell Let Loose does their next update and see what they've added. But yeah, thanks so much for watching, guys. I really do appreciate it. Let me know what you thought of this video. If you liked, leave a like and comment if you have any questions, and then make sure you hit that bell button and subscribe for future content. Thanks for watching, guys, and I'll see you in the next one.
Okay, copy that. I'll let you know. Got a good mark. Sounds good.
Do I have lat for this,
It's going up the main road. I'm gonna get right behind it now. It's a negative. When you once this back gets me. Good mark. Pinpoint accurate.
I got the driver is disabled.
It's before that mine.
Holy shit, I got him.
Back door.
And it is sitting for right now.
I saw an MSP
It's
book
either
it east,
facing
southeast,
west.
of the cap, like, maybe. They're still coming from the east, southeast.
6 action tech between you and me.
That's legit.
Tank is moving, reversing back.
Oh, the gods have blessed us.
Awesome stream.
Hey, McGrady, thanks for the $5, man. Appreciate that. Glad you enjoyed. Contact on the southeast.
Negative on air. That did not hit. It moved back to the new marker.